And the Western Suburbs side coming out, the two teams today wearing the traditional jerseys from back in 1908, because these are two of the original clubs and they celebrate the 90th anniversary of clashes between Western Suburbs and North Sydney over the years. And as they do celebrate 90 years of competition, we see that they've played 172 times. Norths have won 79, Wests have won 85 and 8 draws. Here's the West side for today. A late change with Andrew Leeds again being ruled out and Brett Wharton dropping back to the fullback position. Yeah,
it's a little bit inconsistency for Western Suburbs side. They'll be looking hopefully to try and consolidate. And that man in the middle there, Jerry O'Masher, the lead by examples. You can see this is his 4th season in first grade, but look at the tackles per game he's had to make. And the thing about it is that the reason he's been so high is they haven't been able to control the ball, this Western Suburbs side, throughout the 98 season.
So really some changes to the West side, with some of the players who've been key players for them, like Damien Kennedy missing. Kennedy, of course, is signed with Adelaide for next season, but not in first grade today. And of course, we see that Ken McGuinness played a half of President's Cup and is on the interchange bench as Jason Taylor brings out North Sydney in their 1908 style jerseys. The North Sydney Bears, and a special day it is today too for Jason Taylor, as we look at the North Sydney side. And again, some positional changes here, with Ben Eichen dropping back to fullback, Matt Sears coming up into the centres, and Michael Butner will play at 5'8".
Yeah, the North Sydney side really just trying to look after Ben Eichen there, going back in the fullback spot. But this man will lead by example at the front there. 10th season of first grade for this North Sydney side. 21 tackles per game, 15 hit-ups, and that is the worrying part for the Western Suburbs side. How many times he's going to hit the ball up?
Jason Taylor, a special moment for him, his 200th first grade game, and these are the two clubs he's played for. Wests and North Sydney, 86 games with Wests, 114 with Norths, and hasn't missed a game with North Sydney since he came to the club in 1994. 114 consecutive games for North Sydney. Referee for this afternoon is Sean Hampstead. So Western Suburbs will be defending the southern or city end of North Sydney Oval on what is a glorious afternoon in Sydney. No better place to watch football on an afternoon like this than at North Sydney Oval. So the kickoff taken by North Sydney. First touch of the ball going to Scott Coxon, and in back play, Jason Taylor just slipping and going down. Seems to be back to his feet and seems to be okay, Gary Freeman.
Yeah, well, he just seemed to grab his ankle. He has not moved, probably only moved around about 2 or 3 metres. And some of the trainers will need to get out to him straight away, because it doesn't look to be a very good start for one North Sydney. And of course, Jason Taylor, he is limping.
Certainly is. Well, what a tragedy this would be for him in his 200th first grade game, and just the start that you wouldn't expect and you certainly don't need. Let's check conditions sideline. Good afternoon, Peter Mulholland.
Absolutely beautiful day down here today, and a little bit of a breeze perhaps favouring North Sydney, but I tend to agree with Gary as his pre-match talk was on. I think North Sydney have got far too much to play for today, and hopefully they won't allow themselves to fall into that second half downturn they had last week.
So this kick being collected by North Sydney, and Ben Eichen it was who made the first initial bust, and now this is Nigel Roy, and gets it back very quickly to halfway. Just watching Jason Taylor, he seems to be okay now. He went back to help feel that ball that was put into the air by Wests, and whatever knock he did receive, he seems to have ironed out pretty carefully, and that's how it happened. Just as he took the kick off, just slipping completely, the leg going underneath him. It would be a tragedy to suffer an injury in a game such as this in that manner, but he looks to be okay. And this is Jason Taylor with the ball in hand now and switching it back on the inside, and standing as David Fairley.
Well, he's been hit once again, Jason Taylor. He is down holding his legs. The trainers once again will get to him as we go back with the play, Johnny McCoy.
Down to Adam Donovan. Donovan will be held on to in goal, so this will be a goal line dropout. But the concern for North Sydney is again Jason Taylor. Let's see how it happened. See the kick being put through and Adam Donovan taking it. The chase from Matt Sears. Sears playing up in the centres today. That brings about the goal line dropout, but Taylor still down. Looks to be okay now. Probably just winded more than anything.
I think that one of the West players, I should say, did take him out of the play when he did pass the ball back inside to Fairley going up the middle of the ruck.
So the restart, and again it's David Fairley. He gets to 30 metres out from the West's line. Soden, a dummy half, distributing, turning it back to Gary Larson. Up to the 20. Now away to Taylor. Switching it back to Ben Ikin. Ikin, even though playing at fullback, coming up quickly into the line for that play. This is Lation. 8 metres out in centre field. Lation to play it. They go to the left-hand side, and Taylor very quickly away to Butner. Almost getting through. The last tackle made on him by Scott Coxon.
Oh.
Ball going loose. Knocked on by North Sydney. It was on the last, and so the changeover, and Western Suburbs getting possession, 5 out from their own line.
Yeah, I don't think the ball was really meant for Gary Larson. Then he was standing there as like protection for the second man, which the ball should have gone back to Taylor. What a great tackle there by Steve Trindle.
Terrific tackle by Trindle on Lincoln Rhodonicus. Just resented a little Rhodonicus too. I think probably as he got to his feet, they at first thought he wanted to go on with it. Then it looked to Steve Trindle, thought no.
No, well, change my mind.
Discretion's the better part of valor. Mecha. 8 on his own side of halfway.
They're onside.
Now the kick coming from Hodgson. The West's players have to stay outside the 10, picked up by Ben Ikin. Almost back to halfway, put to ground by Steve Georgians. And once more, the chance for North Sydney to attack. Billy Moore in centre field. Steve Trindle, another hard run by Trindle. Coxon making the tackle on him. Fairley getting the pass back. It came away from Larson, then to Jason Taylor. Taylor slipping through, got his pass back through Soden, then away to Fairley. Fairley getting down the short side. No defence from Western Suburbs at all. The moment that David Fairley was through the line, there was no cover, nothing inside of him, but just green grass. David Fairley scores the first try, and a very easy one for North Sydney, and the Bears lead by 4-0.
Oh, really, the defence from Western Suburbs was a little bit ordinary then. Scott Coxon tried in vain to try and put Fairley down, but this is the start of the movement when they started to get the ball back. Once it would come off Fairley again, Jason Taylor steps off his right foot there, ducks under a couple of would-be tackles there. Adrian Rainey was one of the men that did miss him, but watch Big Fairley put out the right duke there. See you later, Scott Coxon. Races over the try line. Very good start to North Sydney.
Well, you have to give credit to David Fairley because he was involved initially with this one-handed pass to keep the movement alive, and he finished it.
He certainly did, and the big thing about it, when you turn the ball back inside, you don't put the man on the ground, the blind side from Western Suburbs, they stopped coming up into the defence line. Once they started sliding, you can see the winger out there, you know, he just held off his line, and he should have come in to make the tackle.
The number 17 just arriving very late is Brett Wharton. Wharton, who's playing at fullback today with Andrew Leeds having dropped out of the side, and positionally he was just caught out, Brett Wharton. Jason Taylor, who's had a start to this game, he'd probably rather forget. Certainly the first 2 minutes he'd like to forget. Let's see how he is with goal kicking today. Hitting the upright and bouncing back into the field of play. No goal by Jason Taylor.
Yeah, Gary, that's all just comes down to slack defence, as you said before. I mean, as a side goes the ball goes one side, opposite side of the defence has got to move up. They didn't number off again. They took the easy way out of it, and they paid the price. Not a very good tackle, as you said, from Coxon as well.
We did try in vain to get across there to cover that up, but I think Daryl Fisher, he needed to come off his wing. You see another player go on the ground there.
Gary, they've got to have a look at that middle out there. That's been watered down, obvious to that, but I mean, that's just dangerous at the moment.
That, of course, is the cricket pitch area here at North Sydney. So there's been 2 kickoffs in this game, and both players have suffered the same fate, just slipping. And thank goodness for neither of them have they done themselves any real damage, but it would be so easy just to turn an ankle in a situation such as that. But that cricket pitch area, on a day like today, where it's clear and sunny, is certainly very hard, and that's showing. Here's Taylor again, getting his pass wide to Nigel Roy, and Roy got it away to Petherbridge, and Petherbridge will go in, but the referee will call it back, ruling that that last pass had gone forward.
Well, that's very, very lucky for Western Suburbs. But they didn't, you know. Once again, attacking that short side. That's the forward pass here by Jason Taylor, just floating just a fraction forward. But again, Scott Predrick done the right thing as a winger. They've come up with a mistake, Wes.
Well, the alarm bells are really ringing for the Magpies. Here's David Fairley and away to Taylor, and he gets it on then to Buettner. Playing at 5/8 today, Michael Buettner. He's 15 metres out from the line. They come to the short side to Gary Larson, striding straight through, able to unload back to Brett Dallas. Dallas scrambles his way over and scores. 8-0 in favour of the Bears, a kick to come. And unless West's defence improves and improves dramatically, they are in for a hiding.
Well, it's really going back to 1908 style of football. The more ball you have, the more tries you are going to come up with. But the big fella Gary Larson going straight to the middle. Again, tackler's going too low. Just getting on the outside of his man there. Of course, the little man Dallas. Tremendous try there.
It all comes down, doesn't it, to just making sure that you shut this ball down. Brett Wharton was entitled to make sure that Larson didn't unload that. Dallas did a great job to get in and away. But, Gary, I think you've summed it up completely. That defence is just non-existent at the moment. They're very, very unlucky, or North's unlucky on their far side. Taylor's picked their winger standing back in defence. I mean, this is like a procession at the moment. It could end up like it was last week in the first half.
Well, I do know back in 1908 there was unlimited tackles, and that's what it looks like it might be today. The more ball you have, like I've already said, they will come up with the tries, North Sydney.
So another tough kick for Jason Taylor. He's had one from the left-hand side, this from the right, just in from touch.
Keep it focused.
Wasn't able to bring it back in, so no goal, Jason Taylor, but North's leading by 8 points to 0 with 2 quick tries in the first 9 minutes.
You know, put it down to Gary Larson. Going in between a couple of players. One was Scott Cox, and Adam Donovan really didn't do the right thing by. He should have stayed on the outside of Dallas and tried to force him back in the middle of the ruck. But the big thing, really, the timing with the ball. Nearly 7 minutes to North Sydney and only around about 2 minutes to the Western Suburbs side. That's why they are struggling now.
And I suppose too, Peter Mulholland, you look at the 2 tries, you've had one where David Fairley was allowed to stand and unload and keep the movement alive. You have the second try where Gary Larson, you had one player just clinging around his ankle. He simply stood and unloaded. And that's been their story.
Sean, it's a game, isn't it? One-on-one defence is so vital, and especially on your own line. I mean, that's just, it's suicide.
Now this penalty going the way of Norths, and Aiken will kick for touch towards the grandstand side on the western side. And so Norths again with a good position to attack almost up to halfway. And Taylor gives his pass on to Steve Trindle. Trindle almost busted through the middle. It was Mesher who was able eventually to bring him to ground. Now to Larson once more. Makes an easy 10 metres, Gary Larson, to Buettner. Buettner dummies to Fairley, slipped his way through, then got it back to Soden, backing up on the inside. Caught to ground in the last line of defence by big Darren Fritz. Now from Taylor, and the wide cutout pass, picking up Willie Lation.
Well, there certainly was better defence there from Western Suburbs. They really have to watch the way that they do start sliding. They've got to go forward first. North Sydney go wide again with Taylor.
Well picked up, Jason Taylor, trying to sneak his way through the middle of the ruck, turns and unloads back to Gary Larson, who goes once more back to the short side, kept alive to Nigel Roy. He couldn't feel it. Daryl Fisher comes up with it for the Magpies.
Well, they're very lucky that Daryl Fisher did come up with the ball there, because they were in all sorts of trouble again. Western Suburbs on that right-hand side, not moving up quick enough. This is the mistake, trying to get the ball away here, Nigel Roy, or Scotty Petherbridge to come back inside.
So West, what they do need is a good set of 6. Now they'll be aided by a penalty. Sean Hampstead saying that the Norths players had left and started to move up in defence before the ball was on the ground. So they were offside.
They did look like they did arrive a little bit early around that ruck area. This is where West need to consolidate now. They haven't had much of the ball. They need to just get down the other end and maybe get another set of 6 back on North City with a good kick and chase.
Darren Fritz with the hard hit up, taking it over halfway. Hodgson looking to cut out players and eventually sent over to Ken McGuinness, who's very quickly into the action. Ken McGuinness. Starting from the interchange bench today, the State of Origin star for New South Wales. Nick Edwards also coming off the interchange bench at the start of this match. Mesher looking for runners, and Coxon puts it to ground.
Coxon not having one of his better games. He is a better player than that. He put the ball down pretty easily. And Mesher really coming out of the dummy half. He had to pick someone up a little bit wider. But if someone had been on the outside of Coxon, then something might have eventuated. They're just running one out, Wes.
Certainly the play was right. It looked as though at first he was going to bring it back to the short side, but had Coxon running hard straight through the middle. Had he taken the pass, you're quite right, Gary Freeman, they could have created something from it. But that's been the story of the Magpies' day so far. Billy Moore to play it. A few metres on his own side of halfway. 8-0 it is in favour of North Sydney. Larson, been heavily involved so far in this match, Gary Larson, and has scored one try. Soden down the short side, onto Pether Bridge. 30 metres out from the west line. Picked up once more by Jason Taylor on the second bounce. Last tackle on its way now for North Sydney. Butner runs a couple of paces, then puts it in the air out towards Adam Donovan. Eventually it was Wharton from fullback who was able to claim it. He in turn was put to ground in the tackle of Billy Moore. Good
work by Donovan there to get in the way of the North players coming through, allowed Wharton a very good clean take of the ball. Just have a look at this. He puts himself in a position there, just there to get in front of everyone, allow them to take the ball cleanly. Tremendous work there from the winger to get back and help them out. That's what West need. They need everyone to work for each other in this game.
Down the short side come Wests. Chris Yates to play it. 10 inside his own half. Now the last tackle on its way for the Magpies. Back to Brett Hodgson, standing behind the line. A kick down to Ben Aiken. Aiken playing at fullback today, one of the reasons being that he is carrying a shoulder injury, which he's admitted to.
And I'll tell you what,
be targeted by West.
Straight away, I'd be putting the ball in the air so yeah, Ben Aiken catch these ones and send about 20 of the forwards down at once. I know there's only 13 out there, but it looked like it'd be 20.
An injury which he's had since the State of Origin series, Ben Aiken.
Oh, that was Ford.
Gary Larson. 32 metres out from the West line. To Taylor. With Aiken, the wraparound. Then to Matt Sears coming into the line. Good tackle, though, by Steve Georgalis. Aiken. The kick going straight down to Brett Wharton. Wharton bringing it out towards his own 20, where he's met by the welcoming committee, led by Brett Dallas, and in to help him, Michael Butner.
I just think the winger there, Adam Donovan, done something very good earlier, but he should have got there to try and help the fullback out, and Wharton running across the field. He had no one to give the ball to, just in case the two players come in and tackle him. You've got to make yourself available in this game.
Mesher again dictating play down towards the blind side.
I'll tell you something, John. It's the first time I think West have been out of their half in the last 15 minutes of this game.
Now what they can do from Hodgson, his pass to Wharton, then it goes wide, out to McGuinness. McGuinness looking for his winger on the outside and finds Daryl Fisher. Fisher got it back to McGuinness, keeping it alive well to Coxon. Then it was intended to go back to McGuinness. He couldn't take it. North's ball.
Oh, I tell you what, there was razzle-dazzle stuff there from the Western Suburbs, but now they've got to defend once again. West has spent something like 12 and a half minutes in their own half. The first time they get down there, they can do things, but look at the ball play. It's sensational stuff there. Just coming up with one bad pass here, trying to force it too much. That's when they should have put the ball up to Aiken.
Now North's attacking from deep inside their own territory. Matt Sears taken back by Georgalis and Kevin McGuinness.
Dead set. There was. I can't believe this penalty.
Now, he called him, Wiz. He did call it. You could hear it from over here, and I mean, he just went on with the tackle. He called it well and truly before he put him on the deck.
Well, the player was calling for Howard too. Like, what's he got to do with it? Shouldn't say anything. It's just like exactly how I used to play. Say nothing, just get on with the game.
You are kidding, aren't you? You are kidding, Gary Freeman. A game where Gary Freeman says nothing. I'd like to see that. The 7th wonder of the world. David Fairley unloading his pass to Matt Sears. He's 12 metres out from the line, Sears. North's lead by 8-0 over the Magpies. Jason Taylor switched back on the inside to Steve Trindle. Trindle looking for a runner coming off him. Wasn't there. Put to ground in the tackle of Wharton and McGuinness. Back on the inside. Ben Eichen just shooting his way through. The defence, again, just not coming across in numbers. Simply didn't line up in defence, the Magpies, and the easiest of gaps for Ben Eichen to go through and score. Well,
if I was the fullback, Brett Ward, I would be absolutely blown up at my forwards on the right-hand side there. He's come up with a try-saving tackle underneath the post there on Trindle. And how about easy this is? Again, not covering the ball up, allowing Eichen to go for an easy try.
Gary created again too. I mean, Michael Butner needs credit on this. That was great work. He called it. He knew what was going on out that side. A great unload from Billy Moore. But once again, as you said, it's just a matter of shutting down the ball and the ball carrier.
Well, see, the problem was that Scott Coxon was actually back in the line. He didn't go up with everyone. He actually slid early. And that's a very good shot there by the cameraman. And he didn't actually push forward. And that's why they allowed the ball to be passed.
But again, mate, you just can't make those sorts of low tackles. If you have a look at it on the next replay, you'll see there's a low tackle again that's allowed it to be unloaded. Shut the ball down.
3 tries to North Sydney. The first 2 haven't been converted. This is a little easier for Jason Taylor out on the left. Hooks this one back in nicely. Flags are up for the first time for Jason Taylor, and the Bears now get away to lead by 14 points to 0.
Watch it again here now. I mean, it's just no way that the ball carrier was shut down. There were 2 men on him. The second man should have at least gone for the ball to shut it down. And you're right too, mate. They didn't come off their own line.
So the restart once more by Wests. And if their defence doesn't improve, they're going to get plenty more opportunities to do just that. Take kickoffs.
Well, they're going to have to really control the ball. That's what they haven't been doing. And it really does come down to the time with the ball. North's having something like 12.5 minutes, and West having it for about 6 minutes, half the time.
David Fairley. 8 short of halfway, Fairley to play it. Now to Morrison, who's off the interchange bench, and straight through goes Morrison. He's got Petherbridge coming up on the inside. Short pass to him, and away he'll race and score underneath the post. Got Petherbridge. So the blonde bombshells for North Sydney create the try. Glenn Morrison, who's only been on the field for a couple of minutes off the interchange bench. The first time he touches the ball, he splits Wests, and Petherbridge comes off the wing in support to score.
Well, that was a tackle that should have been made on Morrison. As you said, he's only been on the field for a short time, but really just taking up the short time. Plenty of players there. Darren Fitz coming up with a missed tackle to Nick Edwards coming up. Great work by Scotty Petherbridge there to get back inside, but look at the pace of the kid. 1 step, 2 steps, see you later, alligator, straight underneath the black dot. Very good try from the winger.
Have a look at this, Gary. What have we got? 3 players. One that they just palmed straight out of Adam Rainey, but, you know, I think the most important and the most impressive part of that was Scott Petherbridge positioning himself absolutely superb on the inside.
You can put that down to the missed tackle rate of West having 11 missed tackles to North Sydney's 1. And that really does come back to, John, the control of the ball.
An easy one for Jason Taylor for a change from in front, and that makes it 20 points to 0. And Tom Rodonicus will be furious here because some of his players just aren't aiming up.
Well, they certainly weren't aiming up around that middle of the ruck area. And poor old Wharton, he's trying to stand his ground. He's probably one of their best for Western Suburbs, the fullback, and he's just getting no help whatsoever from the men in front. The 12 guys in front, they've got to stand up and be counted. And I tell you what, Tommy will absolutely give him a caning at half-time.
So the restart once more, and again it's Morrison. For the first time he's actually put to ground in the game. 20 points to 0 it is in favour of the Bears. This is Lation. Tackle made on him by Shane McMenemy. So North Sydney having run in 4 tries in the opening 20 minutes of this match and leading by 20 points to 0. And again, it's Lation. His second touch in this set of 6. Back to Wyken. Kicking into open space, and Wharton has a long chase across for this. And in fact, he's not going to get to it, and it's going to go touch in goal.
Very good work there by Wyken, because they knew that like 18-0 up, you could start throwing the ball around, do some crazy things, but they got the ball back to Wyken, puts it downfield, good chase, and just let West make the mistakes, then they'll get the ball back and attack from there.
So for one of the rare times, Wests are in possession. Now can they put in a good set of 6? Ball played. Georgialis out on the short side. Infield goes Kevin McGuinness, and then unloads to brother Ken. And then McMenemy, who'll be put to ground. Back to Wharton. The kick spiralling down, but well taken by Ben Ikin, although he wasn't really under any pressure. It was a tough kick. It did swirl a little in the breeze, but the West players just didn't come through to really contest it with him.
And that's been the problem. Making so many tackles in the first opening stands of this game has really made them a little bit jaded around the ruck area and chasing the kicks.
But even the simplicity of that, Gary, that none of them were onside. It was a deep kick. I mean, why not kick from out of the line so you've got to chase onside?
Once more, the chance for North to attack. Long pass from Taylor to pick up Butner coming into the line. Almost got through as well. Quickly back now to Morrison. One tackle left for Norths in this set. 21 metres out. Taylor takes it to the line. Then uses the kick. And lost. The easiest of tries for Brett Dallas. Lost by Brett Wharton. Standing back on his own line. He had the ball, the bounce was favourable for him, and simply just popped out of his grasp, and Brett Dallas said thanks very much.
And Jason Taylor going to the line, but I thought this kid, he'd been the best player for Western Suburbs, had the ball out in front, and just the slipperiness of the ball, and I don't know how it is, maybe someone put some water on it, but a little bit unlucky, because as I said, I think he's been one of their best.
He did very well to cover that kick too. He was beautifully positioned for it, Gary. I mean, that's just bad luck. I mean, you can't knock a kid for that.
Oh, mate, you can see him. He went down straight away and he says, oh, I'm sorry, boys. And the best thing about it, some of the West players went up to the kid and said, don't worry, mate. We're here with you.
They've missed all the tackles before him.
That's right.
Well, he scored some great tries in his career, 52 of them, Brett Dallas, but there won't be any easier one than that. His second try today, Brett Dallas.
I think the big thing here, Gary, as we saw last week with North Sydney, they've got to be prepared to grind away and keep going. And I think what you said about Ikin's kicking game before was very, very spot on. They've just got to grind away and work at this game.
Hey, Brett, still like to see you go under the post, son. Under the post, Brett, this time.
Again, he makes no mistake, Jason Taylor, and this scoreline is really getting embarrassing at 26-0 in favour of Norths.
That was just a great kick from Jason Taylor in the sense that he's put everybody on side. He's gone to the line. Wharton was back there. It was good work by Adam Donovan to be back on side with him, but it's just absolutely bad luck.
You certainly have to feel for Brett Wharton. It's a terrible mistake, and he can only blame himself. No one around contesting the ball from him, simply just popped out of his grasp. And Brett Dallas, well, he'd almost be ashamed to add that to his list, wouldn't it? It was so easy.
Oh, no, you never get ashamed to put them over the black dot.
Now that not knocked on, it came off the chest. The referee, Sean Hampstead, says no knock on as the ball is played by Billy Moore.
The scary part of now for West is that the scoreline is virtually even with the time and play.
And this is Paul Stringer for North Sydney. Getting it to the halfway mark. In fact, struggles his way just over halfway. David Fairley again stepping out of some weak defence. Had support on the outside in Petherbridge, couldn't get the pass to him. Petherbridge goes from dummy half, now in the hands of Taylor. He dummies to Butner, sees a little gap, then through the pass, which had Butner taken it, he would have been under the post.
Oh, once again, it's the defence. It's looking a little bit ragged out there for Western Suburbs. They've really got to get back together as a unit. A couple of scoots out of dummy half, get the wingers back, but Jason Taylor stepping off the right foot, straight through the middle of the road. It just shows no one's bothered to move up in the middle.
26-0 in favour of North Sydney. And once more, Wests in possession. And I think there's only been about one occasion in this game where Wests have actually had possession inside North's half.
Well, that's down on the right-hand side. They really did start to throw the ball around and put North under some sort of pressure. But, again, they haven't had much ball at all. And they struggle to get out of their half once again.
Steve Georgalis put to ground on tackle number 5.
That's the story of the game there, boys, isn't it? 73% possession to North Sydney. It's just ridiculous. And look at the time in their own half. It's, you know, you just can't win games with that small amount of ball.
Well, even looking at that kick then, they've gone 2 passes wide, but everyone is offside. They're all in front of the kicker. They have no chance whatsoever to run the ball if they need to.
Nigel Roy being pushed to ground in the tackle of Chris Yates. 10 on his own side of halfway, and Brett Della selects to have a run from dummy half. Reaches the halfway mark before he's put over by Rodonicus. Reba running it again out of dummy half, and then to Billy Moore. Glenn Morrison. Last tackle now on its way for Norths to Taylor. This time putting up the high ball. Out towards Donovan and Wharton. It's Wharton who's got it. Will he hold on to it this time? He does so as he's put to ground by Nigel Roy.
I think, look, the kid's going to right.
Donovan's lost the ball. Adam Donovan loses it. Picked up once more by David Fairley. Shoots it away to Petherbridge. Petherbridge is put to ground at a good tackle. Knocked over by Kevin McGuinness. Now to Billy Moore. Larson showing it to the outside, running himself 3 metres from the line to Taylor, then to Butner. Butner runs to the line, tries to push the pass away to Sears, couldn't do so, wisely took the tackle. Taylor again, showing it back on the inside to Mark Reba.
Very good tackle there by Nick Edwards. Come inside.
Icon to Sears. Sears putting the ball on the deck. It'll be a Western Suburbs ball. Lincoln Rodonicus gaining possession for the Magpies.
And his father, Tom Rodonicus, will breathe a sigh of relief there. They haven't got another 6-point scored against them. Errors really going against Western Suburbs, but the tackle count 108 to 61 against North. That's unbelievable.
Still just outside their own 20 Wests. Yates gets to the 30-metre mark. Even when they do have possession, I suppose it's probably a lot of the petrol they've had to use up in defence. They really are finding it hard to bring it out from their own line, and now they make the mistake on the end of the tackle count and simply give it back to Norths. This is Morrison.
Yeah, that's the problem. They're just going to go trying to go too wide too early. Wharton is the man who's come up with a mistake, but the ball from Georgalis just floated over the air and gave the kid no opportunity whatsoever.
There was no depth either, Gary, was there? They're just playing it flat and just hoping that it will stick.
And because they've had to make so many tackles, they haven't got any energy left to run with the ball.
Good unload by Springer, back to Larson, then to Taylor and away to Fairley. Fairley has stopped 11 metres from the west line. Larson. He's loving this today, Gary Larson. Gets to only 2 metres out, and that's where he'll play it. Taylor again. Swings right around, then throws a pass which goes loose. Wests will get it, 11 from their own line.
Well, this is where West need their backs to jump, and as Wharton now goes forward, they need the wingers to get in there, run from dummy half, give their forwards a bit of a rest.
Donovan from the wing. Got away from the first tackle of Billy Moore. Gets just outside his own 30. Mesha able to unload his pass. Georgalis. His pass away to Ken McGuinness. Had Fisher going back on the inside of him. Had to take the tackle himself, McGuinness. Now the last coming up for the Magpies. The kick across field. It's gone backwards. In fact, it came off North Sydney. Went backwards. West to reclaim it. Tackle count restart.
There's a little bit of luck going with the Western Suburbs side now. They really need to work to this left-hand side and then go wide on the... You see the ball just coming off Matt Sears. I don't know if he actually did play at the ball. No, he was there and it hit him, but I don't know if he actually played at the ball to get the ball back.
Yeah, that may have been a little bit of luck that's gone West's way. They can do with every ounce of luck they can get. And here comes a penalty. Not rolling away in the tackle rule, Sean Hampstead. So the quick tap is taken by Chris Yates. And they're up inside the 20. Only about the second time in the game. From Mesha, unloads his pass to Steve Georgialis, almost through a gap. At the last moment, he was claimed in the tackle of Gary Larson. Now back to Hodgson. Ball and all tackle David Feely. Mesha, 2 metres up from the line. Travis Baker. Baker shows a great passer, was able to slip it beautifully away to pick up Lincoln Rodonicus, who'll score the first try of the game. Set up by Travis Baker, only just joined the club in the last couple of weeks from East in Brisbane. Very good ball player, Travis Baker.
That's very well done. The North Sydney side, they had plenty of numbers there on Western Suburbs, but the kid just goes to the line. Watch how he holds it up, put a little step in it away. And of course, Matt Sears, he didn't take anyone. He was just standing there. I think he's having a little bit of a holiday.
I think Mickey Buettner has come in again too, Gary. And last week we saw the same thing with Mick Buettner, was caught out with numbers on that fringe. But I think North Sydney are going back into the same thing as they did last week. Very, very poor options on their last tackles in West 20 metres, and they paid the price for some slackening off.
Well, you can see that Buettner, if Buettner goes in, Sears should have gone in with him.
Exactly.
That's with the likes of Eichen out there out in the centres. He would have probably come in, but good work there by Lincoln Rodonicus to put himself in a position to score the try.
Yes, I'm sure that's going through the minds of Peter Louis, the North's coach, and all of the North's players, that last week they ran hot for the opening 20 minutes, led by, 28-0, I think it was, against Penrith, and in the end just scrambled home. And there is Peter Louis, with Les Kiss, the President's Cup coach, standing next to him, but looks rather dejected, Peter Louis. Not a coach leading 26-4.
It worries you when they look like that. I'd be happy.
Someone's gonna get upset if you miss, mate.
So Jason Taylor just laying down the law as the kick by Brett Hodgson. Well, that is the wobbliest kick I've ever seen in my life, and it's got 2 points.
How did that go over?
Well,
here we go.
it's not how, it's just how many.
Look at Lincoln Rodonicus, puts himself in a beautiful hole. No one near him. Good work there by Travis Baker. Look at that.
That is the worst kick in history that's ever been successful.
It'll be there on Monday morning. We'll pick up the paper. It has gone over.
So the conversion by Brett Hodgson, and it's 26-6 in favour of North Sydney. And Jason Taylor, well, he's not going to fall for the trap that he had at the kickoff. This time,
moved the ball.
He's bought half of Bondi Beach to sit this ball on. So just 5 minutes remaining until the break. But at least it may be the boost that West's needed to have at least got some points on the board. And I'm sure they'll also be saying to themselves, just remember what happened to our opposition last week. If Penrith can do it, so can we.
They've got some good options in attack, West, but it's their defence that's let them down. The amount of ball that they've given North Sydney, that they should be in front by this amount of points.
So West's again just doing well and unloading back to Mesha and then away to Travis Baker. Baker stepping through, got through one tackle, then a lovely pass to Daryl Fisher. Fisher down the sideline, gets to Wyman, who takes him front on. Great tackle coming in to help him, Steve Trindle, but good defence by Ben Eichen, a player who is carrying an injury. Now away to McGuinness. Ken McGuinness getting through. Had the pass gone to a player, they were in underneath the post, but terrific work again by Travis Baker.
On the right-hand side, that was excellent work to get the ball outside of Scotty Petherbridge. I tell you what, he gets away here. What about this tackle here by Eichen and Trindle coming over the top? Boom! See ya!
If Eichen's got a sore shoulder beforehand, what's it like now?
Oh, it probably his right side. I actually thought that Buton had knocked the ball on down here and West should have got a scrum feed.
They've gone to sleep again, North Sydney, you know, Gary. It's exactly the same scenario.
Well, it's hard, like, keeping your mind when you're in front so much to say, well, look, we've got the game won already. Let's just turn on the tap when we need to.
Well, I'm sure they'll get a wake-up call from their coach, Peter Louis, at half-time. He will well and truly lay down the law to them. So the Magpies just outside their own 20. Georgalis away to McGuinness, and McGuinness got his pass to Donovan. He just didn't have the pace to go through that gap. He desperately was looking for support. No one there, and Sears made the tackle on him.
Come on, Ross!
Mesha getting his pass onto Adrian Rainey. When they get a little bit of ball, they're starting to look much better, the Magpies. Turned inside from Georgalis. Hodgson stepping out of tackles, got away from a couple. In fact, the player he got away from badly was Steve Trindle. Gets to 10 metres out from the line. Now once more to Georgalis, then to Rodonicus. They're on the last and running it. Swung back in field by McGuinness. Running back forward is brother Ken. Still on the last. He'll be forced to go to the air. Bats it back McGuinness. His own kick comes back to Travis Baker. Uses the grubber kick, sending Eichen scurrying back towards the line. And Ben Eichen will eventually be put over 15 out from his line.
I think Travis Baker was taken out in back play there after he'd actually kicked the ball, and that could have been fortunate for North Sydney. The penalty wasn't given against them. Here's the ball battered down. Watch Baker here. He picks it up, sees that they're actually short on the right hand, kicks the ball there. I wonder if he's actually accidentally tripped them.
I think it's a World Cup soccer dive, I think. Possession's turning around a little bit. West have picked up a bit.
Penalty goes to North Sydney. Interfered in the play the ball. As Mark Soden went to play this ball.
Well, he's just dropped the ball.
Yeah, well, Chris Yates may have been leaning over the top of him, but I think the basic reason the ball went to ground was the lack of ball security.
Yeah.
However, it does give Norths a chance to attack just before half-time, and they get inside the 10. In fact, 2 from the line is where Trindle is put over. Jason Taylor. The defence came up on the outside, so he had no option but to send it back to Lation on the short side. Petherbridge. Coming back in field, Scott Petherbridge looking to get this pass over the line. Unloads, it'll be picked up by Stringer. He's still only 9 metres out. In the hands of Taylor, dropped behind him by Morrison. Referee will rule a knock on.
Well, they're not really controlling the ball that well now, North Sydney. I thought that West would go on there. They need to get another try and really to put West away, but they're starting to fight back this West side. A lot of heart. Again, they're just trying to use the ball too much. The ball just a fraction behind Morrison, but the West defence is getting off their line a lot quicker.
So just on half-time from Ken McGuinness to Kevin McGuinness, looking to get on the outside of Petherbridge and gave his pass away to Fisher. Then it came back to McGuinness, unloads, back to brother Ken. Eventually held on to by Nigel Roy. And so the half-time hooter. And at half-time, it's 26-6 in favour of North Sydney.
Yeah, one thing that West will have to look after the next half is their defence. For North Sydney, really, it's going to be the control of the ball. They can let this game slip. They're only 4 tries behind. It can be very close.
North Sydney 26, West 6, half-time here at North Sydney Oval. So the second half getting underway, and the restart taken by Ken McGuinness for Wests. And so North Sydney through David Fairley, the first touch of the second half. Bring it back almost out to his own 30, and on top of that will then come a penalty. West's not releasing the tackled player. Steve Georgalis, the West's captain, just going up to ask Sean Hampstead about that penalty. Jason Taylor will kick for touch and find it just short of halfway. As he does so, let's go to the sideline. And the chief executive of the North Sydney Bears, Bob Saunders. Bob, I'm sure Peter Louis would have reminded the players after that try by Wests late in the first half of what happened last week.
Well, yes, Johnny did. We've got to keep our concentration up this second half. I thought we scrambled fairly well in the last 10 minutes of the first half. They had all the ball, but it is a matter of keeping concentration up, keeping on the job, keeping in mind what we have to do and go on with the job.
Yeah, well, the first opening 25 minutes of that first half was sensational. Scored some great tries. They just showed them once they do control the ball, they can get away with points.
Well, certainly, Gary. I thought, as you said, our first 25 minutes was sensational. We put on some excellent tries. We seem to score tries better from 40 to 50 metres out than we do close to the try line. That's something we have to work on, but certainly that first 25 was very good.
Just leave it there for a moment, Bob, as Butner turns his pass back inside to White and then to Petherbridge. Petherbridge will scramble over the line, but a double movement ruled by referee Hampstead. No try. He was so close, Petherbridge probably thought it was worth a try. So the penalty goes for the double movement. Thanks, Bob Saunders, Chief Executive of North Sydney, for that word of what happened in the North Sydney rooms at half-time. There it was, ruled to have been a double movement.
Yeah, it all started with Scott Petherbridge right on the left-hand side. He got the ball way over the back here. This is the replay once again. Here he is starting the movement, running across field, picking players up. And this is what they're doing so well, the North Sydney players. Turning the ball back inside the Butner. Good backing up there by Petherbridge to come from the other side of the wing. And the old double movement didn't fool the referee in the rotten position.
Well, again, a changeover. North coming back up with possession. Billy Moore gets to 18 metres out from the line. So the second half beginning as the first half started. Trindle gets to 11 metres out. Soden brings it back to the short side. Away from Lation, then on to Moore. Dragged to ground to the tackle of Fisher, only 3 metres from the line.
Oh,
well, he just had to wait for that ball for a moment, Taylor, and the moment he got it, he was smashed by Cherry Mesher, but Mesher's come off second best. And immediately Norths go out to the long side, trying to stretch the West's defence, and Michael Butner tackled. Mesher still down in back play, so they're a man short in their defensive line, the Magpies. Now across field elation. Ball going loose. There's Mesher.
yeah, he's a little bit sick and sorry. You know, I think that this is where this is the tackle here. Bang. I don't know where he hits himself. Some concern.
The West's trainers just calling the attention of Sean Hampstead to Cherry Mesher, and he stops play so that the West's hooker can be attended to. So as attention is given to Cherry Mesher, let's go down to the sideline, and the football manager for West's, Jack Stiles, is with us. And Jack, what did Tom Rodonicus have to say at the break?
Tommy said they're dropping too much ball and their speed of line's too slow. They've got to get up and tackle the fellas. Don't let them get momentum.
Well, I think that is the major problem, not getting off the line quick enough, but there seems to be a lack of communication too. The amount of drop ball that you're giving North, you're very, very lucky. It's only 26 points, Jack.
I'd agree with that, Gary, and so does Tommy. And the thing is, he said they've got to value possession. With too much week after week, we're not valuing possession, and that's our problem at the moment.
Thanks, Jack.
Thanks, fella.
Jack Stiles, football manager of West's. I think it's exactly what Tom Rodonicus had to say to the troops at the halftime break, probably in a more refined fashion than I'd say Tom would have told his boys.
I was actually going to ask Jack, could he repeat some of it?
Dave, you're on number 1. Right, you're right.
So Cherry Mesher taken from the field by the West's trainers as play restarts. And Chris Yates is tackled 32 out from his own line. Aaron Cotter able to unload his pass. Back to Hodgson.
Hands off now,
Kevin McGuinness going in to play the dummy half role with Mesher off the field. Kevin McGuinness, in fact, having had his number ripped from his jersey during the first half. So the numberless player for Wests is Kevin McGuinness. Hodgson now spreading it wide, picked up by Coxon. The kick which goes over the head of Nigel Roy, but then finds touch before Ben Aiken can get across to it. And this will be a feed to the scrum by Norths, 30 metres from their own line.
You can actually see what West were trying to do. The ball wasn't really meant for Coxon out there. He was 3 wide. The ball was going to the man inside, Georgialis. He was the man that was supposed to get it and put the kick down. Pretty poor kick there, only really gaining an extra 15 metres.
Buettner. Stepping, taking on the line himself, Buettner. Eventually caught the ground by Wharton. Fairley. 10 inside his own half, David Fairley, and pushes the pass back, just allowed to stand once more in the tackle, and Aiken crosses the halfway mark. Billy Moore got through the first line of defence. Kevin McGuinness gets him in the second line. Taylor giving it away to Buettner, putting Buettner through a gap. He's caught by Hodgson, just grabbed him by the arm, Brett Hodgson, and dragged him to ground. A tackle that had to be made. Taylor once more unloads it to Aiken. Aiken gives his pass away to Lation. Keeps it going, intended for Soden. In front of him, couldn't take it, Mark Soden, and knocked on.
The linesman has come on the field. We watched the replay. There's the ball going forward and being knocked on. Very fortunate for West.
The touch judge, Brett Matthews, just in to make a report to referee Sean Hampstead.
All right, well, that spot.
That spot where the player is.
Righto. Righto. Yeah, what he said. Hey, yeah, what he said.
Lincoln Rodonicus, the player being spoken to.
Yeah, what he said. Keep him down. Steve.
Steve Georgalis also there with them, the West's captain.
All right. Now, there's more eyes than just me out here. It's about Ben Aiken. Don't start jobbing Blakes in the back play, right? Well, right. Just cut it out, right? Cool. Steve, you don't want to...
So Chris Yates also being called up for a word. That's Lincoln Rodonicus, who scored West's try in the closing stages of the first half. As penalty goes to Norths. Here's the incident again.
Here's Aiken. He's going to the line passing the ball. Well, you know, I thought the tackle was fair. Nyson was high, but it was fair. It was nothing to the head. It was right on the shoulder point. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I didn't think it was a high tackle at all. If anything, it may have been just a fraction late.
I think they got the wrong bloke. And if you let the play go on there, if the video had gone on there, you'll find Darren Fritz has come around the neck of Willie Lation, actually straight across his face on a reaction.
Yeah. Well, look, I just think it's one of those that really didn't deserve to have a touch judge come in, to have a minute and a half taken out of the game. Just didn't think there was anything in it himself.
No.
However, Norths have got the penalty. Jason Taylor is 18 metres out and some 30 metres in from touch. So for a kicker of his capabilities, a relatively easy shot, and exactly as it turns out. And so North stretch their lead to 28 points to 6.
I think West will be a little bit disappointed with that, given away the penalty that was going to be the final tackle. They would have got the ball back too and got out of a bit of trouble. The kicker of that capabilities, Jason Taylor, doesn't miss too many.
I know Tom Rodonicus, the West coach, has been critical of some of the penalties handed out by the judiciary, saying that we're turning the game into a game for sissies. I'm sure that would have been Tom's feeling about that penalty.
Well, look, I'll say I do stick up for the players quite a bit, and I just don't think there was anything wrong with it.
So again,
they are really struggling with Fairley, aren't they, today? Fairley and Larson just really at will offloading the ball.
They just haven't been able to stop them at any stage of the game, have they? And here's that other man, Gary Larson. They're working in tandem, David Fairley and Gary Larson today, and both loving it, as is this man, Billy Moore. Tackled 38 metres out from his own line. Leading by 28 to 6, the Bears. Back to Ben Aiken, kicking down for Brett Wharton. Doesn't get the best of bounces, Wharton. And by the time he does pick it up, and he's still inside his own 20, that's where he's met by the North's line coming down as one. And eventually it's Michael Buettner who makes the tackle on him.
You can see West going wide straight away, but you know, they're just not creating anything, and it's their forwards. If a penalty's going to be given, there should be a penalty there because of the slow play of the ball. I can't believe the referee. He penalised West beforehand and not the North's players.
This is Edwards taking it forward just outside his own 20. Now to Darren Fritz. Hard run by Fritz, picks up 12 metres. Georgialis showing it to the outside, then step back into trouble. Fairly coming in over the top. Underneath was Trindle. This is Hodgson. In traffic, Brett Hodgson. Now, he was knocked over late, but it was tipped up by Weston. It's play on, says the referee, and it comes back to Kevin McGuinness. McGuinness able to sneak his pass away to Rodonicus. Rodonicus does well to give it to Wharton. He's chased by Eichen, but he'll go in and score. That will make him feel happier, Brett Wharton, because he gave away a try in the first half with a drop ball, a simple try to Brett Dallas. He'll feel a lot better now, Wharton, having got around Eichen to score that try in the corner.
Oh, he did a great job there, Wharton, to get that try over the corner. But I tell you what, you're going to take your hat off to their front row, or second row, Rodonicus. But the little Hodgson, little chip there, the penalty was going to be given, but this pass here by Rodonicus, that was a mile forward. But the best thing about the McGuinness boys, they kept the ball alive, and Rodonicus once again being involved, throws the ball out there to Wharton, showed good pace to get around Eichen. Not many players will do that. Very good try to the young bloke to bounce back.
Excellent try, and give the referee Sean Hampstead a rap here. He was going to blow the whistle, then realised he'll play advantage. You can see he almost had the whistle to his mouth to blow it, and then said, no, we'll let the advantage go. Good refereeing, and the try results. Yeah,
once again, it was Travis Baker and Kevin McGuinness in there. Going to give Baker a rap once again. This kid showed some good pace. He's had a very good game, only one glitch. We've already mentioned that. We won't mention it again. Very good work, Brett Wharton.
So a difficult conversion attempt for Brett Hodgson. From near touch. Player with a lot of potential, Brett Hodgson. I think the thing about him is that he's just very small of stature.
The big thing about it, he's actually a fullback and not a halfback, but he's doing a very good job. Hard position to change from being a fullback, open running game, to actually getting there and organising the players and telling them where to go, why you want them there, and then command the ball.
So this kick from right on touch for Hodgson. Certainly very much shades of last week's game when North Sydney had that big lead over Penrith and then saw the Panthers come back into the game. Just wide, struck it pretty well, but never really on target.
It's great thinking from young Hodgson there. He saw them coming up quick. He had to think quick on his feet, but as we said, good work from the advantage. I mean, that's like a rugby union try, that forward pass from Adonicus. Again, we've kept it going, kept it alive. This is what Western Suburbs are good at, and that's the ad-lib stuff. And finally, and look, as you said, Gary, this kid deserves a try. I think he's had to put up with everything North Sydney have thrown at him, and he's been a pretty impressive performer for West today.
28-10 in favour of North Sydney. The restart by Jason Taylor. Taylor himself, of course, a former Magpie. 86 games for the Magpies, and his 114th consecutive game for North Sydney, bringing up his 200 today. What a great survivor he's been in the game of rugby league, Jason Taylor. Amazing to go 114 games. A player not as big as other players who's got 114 without losing one.
These two players are really at each other's throats now. It's Lation and, of course, the big front row, Darren Fritz from Western Suburbs. Good hit. Just sorting each other out, which they should do in the front row.
From Ken McGuinness away to brother Kevin. That's the halfway mark. Just into North's territory by a few metres. Ken McGuinness using the chip ahead and regathers. Gets to Wyken, throws a speculator pass back on the inside, just hoping there'd be a black and white jersey there. Oh, there wasn't. Smart work, though, by Ken McGuinness. Didn't have that much room to work in down that short side, and did it well. Well,
what West are doing now, they're really throwing the ball around, knowing that there's plenty of pressure on the score the tries. McGuinness knows, well, hey, someone better get there, but the only problem was it was one of the North's players, and the hooker and Matt, what am I saying? Mark Soden.
So Shane McMenemy just coming back in off the interchange bench.
Lincoln
Rodonicus will get a break, and Wests feed the scrum. Ken McGuinness, 28 out from the North's line. Kevin McGuinness, then to McMenemy. Dragged to ground eventually by Moore. Hodgson in the hands of George Allison, switched on the inside to the big fella, Fritz, coming at full pace. Knocked over, though, by the North's defence. Hodgson again, taking it to the line, caught in a good tackle. Willie Lation getting across to meet him. George Allison. The cutout pass to Kevin McGuinness, getting on the outside of Petherbridge. A little bit of help, though, by Nigel Roy to put him over. Last tackle coming up now for the Magpies. Back it goes to Ken McGuinness. McGuinness puts in the little grubber kick, fielded brilliantly, though, by Benny Eichen. Eichen brings it out off his own line and almost slipped through. At the last moment, he was dragged to ground by Cotter.
That's where you need a little halfback as they turn the ball back inside now to Dallas. The half need to get in there and control that ruck. McGuinness should have got out wider.
Sears goes in to be the dummy half for the Bears. Then his pass away to Steve Trindle. Larson brings it outside the North's 40. Soden kicking from dummy half. Ken McGuinness back for it. His pass back to Wharton, who got back just in time to pick it up.
Oh, that's a great pass, though, wouldn't it? Made an extra 15 to 20 metres in Western Suburbs. Great work, Ken McGuinness.
Hodgson away to Travis Baker.
L2, hands up now. We are North.
Wests 10 on their own side of halfway.
Hands out. Just stand up, 18.
Hodgson again. This is Edwards. Tough tackle, though. There to meet him was Butner first up, and in to help him was Lation. Now to Fritz. Fritz stood in the tackle, looked to unload his pass back inside. Couldn't be taken, though, by Wests. North Sydney come up with possession.
A little bit unlucky there. Fritz getting on the outside of his man as Trindle goes for a stampeding run.
Ball lost. Referee is going to rule play on. The players were standing around waiting for the scrum.
Well, there's no advantage there for West to pick the ball up.
The scrum should have been back near the 40, where West should have got the ball. There is absolutely no advantage for the side to be well back inside their own 20 to get the ball.
Oh, I can't believe that. Trindle going for a massive break, trying to get the ball off there to Nigel Roy. He comes up with a mistake, but look at it. It goes around about 15 metres. It should be back on the 30.
There's 25 metres difference there that West should have had the ball from the scrum. And they're still now just got back over the 40 where the scrum should have been set. So there's absolutely no advantage there at all. This is Hodgson. Out wide to Baker. That pass did go forward. The crowd knew it. Everybody but the referee and touch judge knew it. Spun wide again. This is Cotter. Now the last on its way for the Magpies. Hodgson goes a few metres and runs it on the last, and then is able to switch it back to Ken McGuinness. McGuinness kicks. Coming through is Daryl Fisher after it. Fisher dives on the ball. Referee Sean Hampstead will consult with the touch judge and rule the try. Fair try. I thought he may have wanted to go to the video referee, but he didn't. The touch judge had absolutely no doubts it was a fair try, and well done. McGuinness setting it up, and the try scored by Daryl Fisher.
Oh, it's great work there by Hodgson, the little halfback. He went to the line. Just watch him go to the line. He starts going across. No one from North City's moved up the middle. Tremendous work there by Ken McGuinness. And then he sees little Daryl Fisher out on the wing all by himself, gets the ball, plants it down. Fair try to Western Suburbs. They are back in this game at 28-14.
Slack inside defence there too. Dave Fairley, I think he thought he was going to kick this ball. It was a great sleight of hands and a magnificent pass in. McGuinness did very, very well to pick up the man on that wing, but again, Dave Fairley a little bit lazy on the inside, and Norths have got themselves to blame for this. I think their last tackle options have been very, very poor, and their handling has been absolutely atrocious.
It's at first indication there may have been some doubt that he got that ball down cleanly, but the replay showing there was no doubt at all about the try. And Daryl Fisher is a young Kiwi, born in New Zealand. Nothing against Kiwis, Gary Freeman's
probably next door to me, but I just can't remember. He's just a bit younger than me.
But I tell you what, in a side that's been struggling this year, this young kid has played very well. He's a good finisher, Daryl Fisher.
The amount of ball that they've had, they're very lucky to get 14 points on the board, let me tell you.
And again, another tough kick for Brett Hodgson from near touch, which he's hooked across the face of goal. So 28-14 it remains.
You just watch it again, too. The beautiful hands. He shapes to kick. Fairley's just taking it lazy. Look, just slowed that one step down. All of a sudden, McGuinness has seen it, put the kick in, did very, very, very well. Put that kick beautifully positioned. And the little kid just finishes it off. It's a great bounce for him, too, wasn't it?
Excellent work by McGuinness, but you have to give some credit to Peter Mulholland, to young Brett Hodgson. He summed that up very quickly, that Norths hadn't come up to meet him, and he took it to the line and then had them in two minds, didn't he?
Yeah, as soon as he did that, Fairley stopped, and that was the hole that opened up for McGuinness.
So the restart again by Jason Taylor. Fritz plays it just on his own 20. McMenemy.
I think what also has upset the North side is that West really are popping balls that they shouldn't do. And going wide so early in the tackle count.
Now the penalty goes to Wests. Just interference in the play the ball, not allowing McMenemy to get to his feet and play the ball quickly. So this helps West just to get back on a roll somewhat. Just near halfway as it comes once more to Fritz. Always just, to me, Gary Freeman, just as he meets the line, just seems to lift his leg somewhat as he goes to the line. It's an area of his game I think just has to be a little careful of.
It makes it very hard to tackle the big man because he is so big too, but he's done pretty well today with the amount of ball that they haven't had, and he's had to do a lot of defence at the same time.
McMenemy down the short side. 35 out from the line. Now swung back into centre field away from Georgialis to Hodgson, and then it goes to McGuinness behind Baker. Loose on the ground. Petherbridge picks it up for Norths, chased by Hodgson. Hodgson grabs him by the jersey and eventually rides him to ground. Roy. No one in support of Nigel Roy, so he had no option but to go forward himself. Makes 10 metres. Larson. Ever ready to do the work, Gary Larson. Anytime you want someone to go forward, you only have to look around, and the blonde-headed number 10 will be putting his hand up and saying, yeah, I'll do it for you.
And right behind him will be this man here, David Philly. West's got to watch out for now is Jason Taylor going to the line and being the long pass.
And that's what he does. Goes to the line and sends the pass to Billy Moore, but he was chopped down in a good tackle. Knocked over in the tackle of McMenemy. Now back across field it comes to Taylor. Taylor uses the high kick. And again, the player who went up and got it was Daryl Fisher.
That was great work there by Fisher. The ball was really swirling around and didn't get a lot of protection. Took the ball well.
The North's defence trying to push Ken McGuinness back into the in goal. Now, well, that surely is taken in the in goal on the full, isn't it?
I think the ball was actually out of the in goal. I think he was in the in goal, but the ball was outside of it.
But surely it's where the player is.
I think where he started from, isn't it? I think he might have started his leap outside of it and landed back in that in goal. But anyway.
Started it, finished it. Where's his feet? Where's the ball?
The bottom line is that he had to play the ball.
Yeah. I think the North players could have been penalised, really, for trying to push him back in, though.
Now back to Ken McGuinness. McGuinness's kick straight down to Ben Aiken. Aiken takes it. Now those players aren't, well, they certainly were never back 10, surely. They were back about 3 metres when he took that ball. Brett Dallas. Struggling to stay just in the field of play. He does that. Let's have a look at this kick. The kick by McGuinness. Now watch the West players. How much room do they give Ben Aiken? Not much. Referee ruling knock on by North Sydney as they get very close to the West's line. He'll bring it back for the scrum, which is 10 metres out from the line.
Well, the North side, really, they just look like they can open up at any stage. Look at Jason Taylor going to the line. They start sliding, puts a big left foot step and tries to get the ball out the back door. Just come up with a mistake there, Matty Sears.
28-14. Midway through the second half, North Sydney leading Wests. It's certainly an improved second half showing by the Wests Magpies. After the first 20 minutes of the game, it looked as though they were going to be on the end of a monumental defeat. But to their credit, they've clawed their way back into the game. Edwards on his own 30. Cherry Mesher is back onto the field, having received a rather bad knock when he went to tackle Jason Taylor a few minutes back. But he's recovered and back into the fray. Hodgson showing the ball on the outside, then driven to ground in the tackle of Petherbridge. Fisher. Desperation pass to nobody. Morrison tries to pick it up, can't do so, a knock on.
That is so lucky for Western Suburbs. Daryl Fisher went to the dummy half area, did not get a call whatsoever, then throws the ball out because he knew he was going on the 5th tackle. Morrison comes up out of the line. Did a good job to get there, just come up with a knock on. Very, very lucky Western Suburbs then.
Outside foot forward, West. West Prom, outside foot forward. There you go.
It gives West the opportunity to work a scrum on their own 30-metre mark. Ken McGuinness. Inside to brother Kevin. He's now got himself a jersey with a number. This time now Kevin McGuinness is in the number 20.
I think this is where West now being behind on the scoreboard by 28 points to 14. They need to spread the ball just a little bit earlier instead of just going one up off the ruck.
Rainey.
Norths are just really just waiting for them.
Gets inside North's territory by a few metres. Steve Georgalis goes to the line, looks for support on the inside and finds Travis Baker. He pushed away from the first tackle of Larson. Inside it goes to Donovan. He'll score. Daryl Fisher will get the ball down. That's a try. Daryl Fisher scores the try, and again it was Travis Baker who's done some excellent work in this game in attack.
Tremendous try there by the Western Suburbs side. As we said, they have to throw the ball around as much as possible. It was all started by their 5'8" Steve Georgalis running across the field. Look at, he pulls out Jason Taylor, and Davis comes back inside there. Baker, I should say. But what about the strength of the man to get the ball away? Aiken really didn't go for the tackle and gets the ball out to the young winger, and Daryl Fisher goes over a second. Tremendous break for the Western Suburbs side.
It's all about this low tackle in the front line, isn't it? Jason Taylor forced to go low with the distance he had. A great inside ball there, but as you say, a poor tackle from Mickey Butner, just palmed off. A great pass inside from Travis Baker, and once again, the little Kiwi Flyers there.
Another good try by Daryl Fisher, his second of the afternoon.
You've got to put it down to Baker, though, don't you? Coming back inside Georgalis just when it was needed. He got on the outside of course, Jason Taylor, but he dropped the ball back inside. What about the change of hands? Carried the ball in the left hand, then carried the ball in the right hand, then offloaded.
Hodgson's kick. It's one he'd rather forget all about.
You see it again here too, isn't it? The Georgalis is what, great go forward too again. And that's probably not a bad move then, Gary, just to take him back a step or two. A good quick play of the ball, but again, Georgalis has picked out Taylor, gone wide on him. A low tackle from Taylor. 1-2. Nice right-hand fend. As you said, Wiz, he's just changed that ball left to right hands, but little fella knows how to sniff out a try, doesn't he?
Rather dejected Peter Louis on the left of screen, with the President's Cup coach Les Kiss sitting next to him. Neither look particularly impressed with what's happened. 28-18. And Wests, as was the case with Penrith last week, starting to get a little bit of a roll on against the Bears. In fact, the try count is 5-4 in favour of Norths at the moment.
I think the next try scorer might just about win this game. I mean, Norths have really got to put Wests away, or they're in all sorts of trouble.
Well, the big thing about it is time with the ball, and Norths have had it for 30-odd minutes, and West now evening up to nearly 29 minutes with the ball.
Hodgson using the kick once more. Dropped behind him by Nigel Roy. Drops it a second time. Nigel Roy almost back to his own line. He's met. Kevin McGuinness gets to him and they put him down 5 metres out. Joel Wilson off the interchange bench now to Brett Dallas, who decides to run out of dummy half and cuts it outside his own 20. Sears up the short side, claimed and put to ground in the tackle of Brett Wharton. Roy runs it to the line. Hodgson takes him front on. Right on the halfway mark, Jason Taylor runs it back to the right and kicks. Ken McGuinness going back forward. He's playing at fullback now, Ken McGuinness, with this man Wharton having dropped out onto the left wing. McGuinness looking to get on the outside of Lation. Stands and is able to unload his pass. They're just starting to get a roll on, really, the Magpies. Georgialis had Travis Baker just running on his right arm. Couldn't get the pass away to Baker. Hodgson. His pass to Ken McGuinness, then to Kevin McGuinness. Has brother Ken coming around him, slips it back to him now. Ken McGuinness starting to run, gets it back to Hodgson, starting to get into open spaces, looking for support on the outside in Wharton. He couldn't get the pass to his winger, Wharton. He takes the tackle. This is the last coming up for Western. They're 20 metres out from the line, slipped away to Lincoln Rodonicus, runs it on the last, the ball loose, still loose on the ground, played at by Norths and dived on by the Bears. It was knocked backwards by Norths, so no knock on, and North Sydney scrambled possession just out from their own line.
They are very, very lucky, North Sydney. Ken McGuinness and Kevin McGuinness getting themselves involved in this game, really putting the North Sydney side under heaps of pressure once he runs with the ball. What about the offloads? And I thought the little half, I thought he was going to do the old chip and chase here, because there was no way he was going to get the ball to anybody. He should have just gone for it.
Billy Moore. Just short of halfway, Norths. Back to Wyken. Puts his kick away. Dropping back forward is Daryl Fisher. Fisher runs it to his own 20. That's where he's met and put over by Michael Butner. Wharton trying to get away from Dallas. Pushed him back on the inside for Sears to complete the tackle.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed with the North Sydney side in the last probably 5 to 10 minutes of this game, that they are just falling off tackle so easily as now West go wide again.
Travis Baker showing it to the inside, now slips the pass away to Fisher.
Leave him there, leave him there, leave him, don't roll him.
Coxon going into dummy half. The pass to Darren Fricks. He didn't have his eyes on the ball. Was looking where he was heading to, and the defence coming at him.
Yeah, well, he'd lined himself up to take this ball forward. He wasn't a good pass, but he should be able to take it. He really just snatched at the ball. That may be the mistake that North Sydney need to get back on top of it. Even though they are in front, 28-18.
Just need a good set here, Norths, don't they? Just a good set of 6, and immediately they push it wide to Petherbridge. 35 out from the West's line. Back into centre field to Butner. Butner slipping straight through the centre of the ruck, has Jason Taylor coming up in support. Wasn't able to get the pass to his captain. Now to Fairley, who's had a monster of a game for North Sydney. Fairley gets to 5 metres from the line. Rodonicus made the tackle on him, then tried to knock the ball down Lincoln Rodonicus. He's lucky he didn't give away another 6. Now back to Ben Eichen. Eichen flicks a pass out the back door to Matt Sears. Sears attempts to give it to Petherbridge. Had he taken it, he was over. Ball goes loose, let off for the Magpies.
I still think that the pass from Sears was forward pass anyway. Here's the old flick bust here by Eichen. I think this ball here was a mile forward, and West, duly right, get the scrum feed.
So the Magpies in possession. Adrian Rainey looking to turn in the tackle of Norths and unload. He couldn't. Wisely has to take the tackle. That tackle came from Mark Reba. Ken McGuinness. 32 out from his own line. McGuinness plays it. Georgialis gives it on the short side to Hodgson. Rodonicus just hits it up towards the halfway mark, but that's 5 tackles gone. Now what are they going to do on the last, Wests? Back to Ken McGuinness. McGuinness uses the kick, putting it in between Dallas and Eichen. It's Ben Eichen who drops back for it. Runs it just outside his own 20 before he was met in the tackle of Nick Edwards.
And this is where this might sound funny, that West need to jump off the tackle player very quickly to make North City just run it off, one off the ruck, and then get the ball back off them.
28-18 it is in favour of North Sydney. You would think they'd be feeling pretty comfortable with 9 minutes to go. but they've just fallen into a hole, North Sydney, and if Wests were to score another try in the next few minutes, they'd certainly be a great chance of pulling this game right out of the fire. What they need is just a little bit of settling as it comes to Petherbridge. Petherbridge will take the tackle. Last coming up for the Bears to Eichen, away to Taylor, takes a few steps before he kicks. Wharton will go back into the in goal. Well-weighted kick, though, by Jason Taylor, and a good chase by Butner. He didn't get him in the first attempt, but the player coming through with him, Glenn Morrison, did. So they pinned them just out from their own line.
Well, some of the West players are really struggling to get back on side. It's George Dallas
gets around Brett Dallas. Dallas has got too much pace from behind, though. Is able to cut him down from behind, Brett Dallas, but a good run by Steve Georgalis brings it back almost to halfway. Now away from Hodgson, looking for the runner in centre field. That was Rainey. Rainey loses the ball as he was put to ground. Referee rules that he lost it. It wasn't stripped, and so play on. North's ball. Wilson.
Making some quick changes now. They are looking very tight in the forward pack.
Joel Wilson almost stripped of his jersey by Kevin McGuinness, but he's still running. The ball is in there somewhere. How's he going to get the ball out to play it? Eventually he does.
Oh, it's a one he didn't have a number on his back then.
Soden going into dumbing half. Call for it, first receiver by Taylor. Switches his pass just back to the runner coming back on the inside from him. Gary Larson. Back to Soden, then to Taylor. Taylor's pass to Billy Moore standing wide. Floats it to Brett Dallas. Pushed away from Wharton, then puts in the little kick. Ken McGuinness was back, read it well and claimed it just out from his own line.
Oh, yeah, great work by McGuinness there to get back in time to help out the winger. Now, this is what West need. They need a quick ball, nice and wide early. Well, what about the strength of Dallas then? The quickness to put the ball on the ground. Good work. What about the pickup? Beautiful stuff.
6 minutes remaining. North's in front by 10, 28-18 over the Magpies. They're not going to lie down, Wests, although this mistake could be crucial to them. Chris Yates losing the ball. He had about 3 attempts to get it, and he's absolutely frustrated as he gets to his feet. So a great chance now for North Sydney to attack. 28 metres out from the West's line, pretty much in centre field. So the chance to attack on either side of the ground. And Jason Taylor just pondering what move they're going to put on as he works the scrum. He takes it away to the right to Michael Butner. Butner trying to slip past Georgalis. Moore. In traffic, Billy Moore wasn't able to unload. The tackle eventually made by Nick Edwards. Now to Larson. Larson straight ahead and gets to 8 metres from the line. So looking for a runner. That runner is Morrison. Glenn Morrison going for the line. He's very close. Held on to only about 1 metre short. Dived down by Mark Soden from dummy half. He dived under all of the Magpies. It is Mark Soden. It certainly is. The little fella coming up from dummy half with the try that has put the game beyond doubt. And doesn't that man feel relieved, Peter Louie?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, the Western Suburbs side is blowing up because they think that Glenn Morrison, he's got up to play the ball, and Soden has used him as a shepherd. Now watch him to see if he goes through Glenn Morrison's feet. Now watch him. Morrison will start walking forward. There. I think that might be a shepherd. He's actually gone in between his feet. Here's the good run. Turns the ball back inside to Morrison. Not too sure how Peter Mulholland did see this, but for me, I thought that could have been a shepherd.
I think you're pretty right, Gary. The head-on
Watch this.
might be. It's a nice and slow one here. He's going
As it goes straight through now. I'm sure that's a shepherd.
Too,
that's
Gary.
a dead set shepherd. And they had plenty to complain about the Western Suburbs side.
Yep.
John McCoy.
What's he expected to do, Mark?
Well, you know, what happened to happen then, mate, Morrison had to keep moving forward and to be out of the way of as an obstruction. That's basically what it was.
Yeah, but how could he do it? I'm not saying he wasn't. He didn't
I don't know how he could do it. I'm just saying what I thought.
How could Morrison move out of the way? When we see the other front on replay, you'll see there's about 3 or 4 West players around him. Where could he go to?
He didn't write the rules, mate. I think it just should have been a shepherd.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Well, let's just say, The kick unsuccessful by Jason Taylor, 32-18. Where can Morrison go to? That's all I ask.
I'm not really worried about where Morrison's got to go. All I'm saying, the player has used him as a shepherd to score the try. Now, the player I know has to get up and play the ball quickly. One step, he walks, he's over the line anyway. He's actually walked forward.
They're holding him. Where can he go to? And what can Soden do?
Soden shouldn't have used him, though.
He shouldn't have used him as a shepherd to score the try.
Soden should have gone one way or the other. That's the rule.
So you're telling me anyone who plays the ball now, you can dive through their feet?
I think he was smart. I'm not saying it was illegal, but the referee's given him a try.
I know it's a try.
Might be legal in Queensland, but not now.
You've got a coach and a player that's against you. You lose, even though you could be right.
32-18 it is, and that game really, that try really putting it beyond doubt for the North Sydney Bears. But I'm sure that at training next week,
we'll all be practicing.
Peter Louis will just be emphasising to his side that even though you start well, it's a game of 80 minutes.
Well, that's the
and against top sides, you might get away with it against a Penrith or against the Western Suburbs. You won't do it against some of the other sides further up the ladder.
Well, they sort of just put the cue in the rack, didn't they? They knew that they'd had probably the game won. And the big thing about it, even though they're 32 points to 18, and a few deficiencies that they do have to fix up.
Mark Soden kicking away from dummy half. Wharton going back for it. Brett Wharton brings it outside the 10. Looking to get back to the 20. Sears makes the tackle on him. Ken McGuinness almost busted through the tackle of Morrison. His pass back to McMenemy. Wharton going back to get this loose pass, which was pushed back by Aaron Cotter. So Wharton back on his own 20. Tough run by Chris Yates. In fact, a good run by Yates. Made some 12 metres straight through the middle of the North's defence. Now back to McMenemy. Hodgson to Ken McGuinness. Chipping over the top of the line. Joel Wilson back in defence for Norths. Met by Ken McGuinness and put over just near halfway.
Well, they really did sit themselves for that North Sydney. They knew that McGuinness was going to do the kicking, but they just really just waited. He was better off probably just running the ball with only around about 30-odd seconds left.
Morrison.
Field 3, roll away. Blakely Morrison.
Gary Larson. Oh, Larson choosing the little kicks. I didn't know he had that in his book.
I don't think he knew.
Brett Wharton. Now to Georgialis, then to Hodgson. Hodgson with the wide pass to Travis Baker. Baker trying to get through a gap. Petherbridge got him. He still pushed the pass away, though, to Fisher. Fisher gets to 30 metres out from the North's line. Last play the ball of the game. Now back to Lincoln Rodonicus as the hooter goes for full time. Turns it back to Cherry Mesher. Pushes the long pass, which goes over the top through McMenemy. Then the little kick ahead being chased by Kevin McGuinness. It'll go dead. And full time. And North Sydney having got away to a lead which would have suggested early in the game that they could have won by an absolute cricket score. In the long run, were really made to battle and have won by 32 points to 18.